Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Peter Spatafor. I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan Alliance for Student Opportunity. And this is, of course, the Michigan Schools Energy Cooperative Choice Solar Farm presentation. MISEC was founded in 1997. Most of you know that. You've been customers of our program. It was founded by the Michigan Association of Superintendents, Michigan Association of Intermediate School Administrators, the Michigan Association of School Boards, the Michigan School Business Officials, and what at the time was known as Middle Cities Education Association. I changed the name with my board of Middle Cities to the Michigan Alliance for Student Opportunity. And we actually serve as the organization that runs the day-to-day operation alongside Schneider Electric for MISEC. When I took the job, I quickly got up to speed on all the ins and outs of energy choice in the state of Michigan. But we're here today to talk about a new program. But in the past, we were designed to manage the electric and natural gas procurement of Michigan's educational community. Pretty forward thinking. We just got a notice from another state that they're thinking of doing the same thing. So welcome to the party. MISEC is the largest program of its type. We manage in excess of $100 million annually of energy on behalf of Michigan's public schools and education community. We're recognized as the entity that represents the energy interests of the education community in Michigan. We get involved in energy policy and all sorts of things at the state level. But also our main goal is to ensure that your energy needs are met so that more dollars can get into the classroom so that you don't have to worry about that issue when it comes to the budgeting side of things. We are managed by an executive committee of superintendents, business and facility managers for various districts and community colleges. And in my role as the executive director at the Alliance, I serve as the secretary of treasurer to the board. That's how we end up with the day-to-day running of the program. Before we get started on the next phase, I just want to let you know after our webinar series is over, we'll follow up with information to every one of our webinar attendees, whether they came or not. We had a few folks register that couldn't make it, with information on how to access recorded webinars. We'll take a look at a Q&A document through all the questions that were asked among the 3 webinars that we've done. And then we'll also provide to you a board resolution to execute the commitment agreement to this project. We intend to have this information out the week of the 26th of June, so be on the lookout for that follow-up information. So why we're here today, we moved forward about 3 years ago to start talking about our clean energy goals. And then something happened that put a pause in our forward progress when the pandemic happened. We had to cancel the meeting where we were initially going to have this conversation. But we set out, the executive committee set out to expand the energy supply portfolio of MISEC to include clean and renewable energy options. Heretofore, we've been mostly brown, maybe a little ecru, but mostly brown power as in our portfolio. And kind of thinking forward as we looked at not only sort of the right thing to do, but the legislative climate as well. Lawmakers just this week have introduced bills that are pushing for a more renewable, cleaner portfolio for the state of Michigan's energy consumption. So we wanted to be on the forefront of that. So the Michigan's Electric Choice Customer Program allows our members to purchase our energy from any generating source. So to that end, we looked for some criteria when we looked to address our clean energy goals. We wanted a Michigan-based solar facility whose output would be dedicated solely to MISEC members, a facility directly connected to the MISO grid and capable of delivering energy to our members through their current distribution provider. We wanted a supply that was cost competitive with our current portfolio long-term energy costs. We wanted members to be able to choose what percentage of solar they would include in their supply on an annual basis. And we also wanted a facility that met what's called the local clearing requirement that is required in the electric choice law. And that's the amount of capacity that must be located within a local area to meet the federal reliability standards. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry, you're not alone, but just know that it's something we have to be mindful of. And that was one of the top priorities for us as well. So to that end, we put out some feelers. We are not a school district, so our RFP process is a little less rigid than yours. So we spoke with some companies and worked to bring in interested developers, narrowing the options down to two. Two of them were invited to make presentations to the MISEC Executive Committee on St. Patrick's Day of this year. Maybe the green energy timing was perfect for St. Patrick's Day, but it worked out to be that case. So North Star, though, was the by far and away the one that was aligned best with our energy goals and the need to do this in a quicker fashion than 10 years down the road. They delivered a competitively priced, long-term, Michigan-based, and my favorite part, MISEC branded solar generating asset that did not require any capital outlay by MISEC, the consortium, or its participating members. They are eager to provide support for STEM and vocational curricula and support for public events highlighting MISEC's clean and renewable energy leadership. We wanted to really highlight what school districts in the state are doing in the clean and renewable energy space to, for districts that is important for their communities. So that is my part. I want to thank you all for being here today. You'll hear from me toward the back end. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to either interrupt our speakers, raising your hands, the virtual hands, or dropping a comment in the chat. But I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Clark, who has been with MISEC from the beginning and works with Schneider Electric. And Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Peter. And I want to appreciate the work that Peter and the team has done to date, getting us to where we are today. We're super excited. I probably cannot use enough superlatives to say how excited we are regarding this project. Not only is it bringing clean, renewable energy to our members, which we think is a very good thing, but I think as Peter said, we're actually on the leading edge. Just this week, the Michigan legislature is starting to talk about moving the state to a carbon-free environment, I think by 2030. And so this blends in very nicely with that agenda, and we can really use this to promote and help work with the legislature on it. So to kind of introduce the project, we have Julio Morales and Todd Mortimer from CMS North Star Clean Energy. They'll explain who North Star Clean Energy is here in a minute. And they're both executive directors. When we have been working very closely, both with Julio and Todd, over the last few months to bring this project to completion and to reality. Julio is kind of our day-to-day person, and Todd's more the technical side behind Julio and all that. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Julio, I think, and have him kind of introduce the project. I'm going to stay on also and probably add some color commentary as we go forward and kind of introduce the MISEC Solar Farm.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Peter, and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on this call. So starting out with the project itself, the solar project, which we're naming MISEC Solar Farm. It is located in Genesee County. You can actually see it in the intersection of US 475 and Carpenter Road. It takes up about 380 acres. I should say it will take up 380 acres. It's will be built in 25. And it is a 50 megawatt solar array generating roughly 93 million kilowatt hours annually of green power, green generation. Just to give you an idea, yes, it's 380 megawatts, but 1 megawatt of those 50 megawatts is enough to power 1,500 homes. Just sort of a comparative, position of what 1 megawatt of power can do in terms of actual output. Roughly 1,500 homes, average size homes is what it would serve with solar. Construction for this project will begin in the fall of 2023 with commercial operations expected in June of 2025. Let's go on to the next.
Just as actually, slide back real quick, just kind of for a point of reference for everyone on the phone. The solar asset's going to produce about 93 million kilowatt hours annually. MISEC's members consume about 600 million kilowatt hours annually. So the project in its current form can only support about 15% of what we actually consume on an annual basis for our membership. So if we get subscriptions that are greater than this, This was actually one of the attractiveness of the CMS North Star. They've committed to a second solar asset that we might be able to access to support if we actually have a greater subscription than 93 million kilowatt hours.
Thank you, Jeff. That's a great segue for this slide.
Right.
So there's the slide on the left before we get to the bullets on the left here is a depiction of your total of MISEC Schools total consumption or portfolio. There's that 600 million kilowatt hours, and that's represented in the blue context. And then below you can see where the 20% energy and capacity and RECs from renewables would be across the 15-year commitment. But that's just becomes a component of the total portfolio of supply managed by MISEC. It'll become part of their MISEC strategic and balanced strategy for purchasing overall for the solar. So Northstar would be a supplier of this clean energy, renewable energy to the total portfolio, and MISEC would continue to employ its supply management strategy to the rest of the megawatt hours in. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into this 20% green and the 7.5 cents a kilowatt hour here in the next slide. So keep that number in mind if you would. Thank you very much. So what you see here on the right is a comparison of where MISEC is today, 2023 and 24, with purchase power, current pricing, and today the commodity in whole is roughly 7.6 cents. If you were to look at what we're pricing here today for solar, you can see that it's very competitive, not only against today, but when the beginning of this contract, which would be 2025 and beyond, compared to where the market is projected to be at 8.1 cents. So the point here is that renewable energy is not only available for MISEC schools, but also very competitively priced against not only today's market, but future market conditions. This analysis is taken from an average district. So if you look at one of the school districts in the MISEC portfolio and do a comparison, stripping out the capacity and the renewable energy credits, and just look at energy price in the forwards for the next 15 years, you can see that the 62 cents or the 6.2 cents compares very favorably to the average market over the next 15 years projection at 7.1 cents. For this particular school district, you can see that it's actually a savings of roughly $140,000 over the term. Jeff, anything to? Okay.
No, actually, and that actually, in two things on this. One, it shows that we're competitive. That Northstar renewable energy is competitive to our current market, our current rates. It also shows that we will, as the forward markets increase over time, our savings will increase, and that this 20%, so to speak, slice of system that we're purchasing will actually be very valuable, quite honestly, to our members going forward, as potentially we have to buy, and we do our short-term buying strategies, those prices may or may tick up, continue to tick up. It's interesting to note that the U.S. Government Energy Information Administration is basically estimating that energy prices are going to rise between 2.5% and 3% per year for the next 20 years. So we are fixing your energy rates for 15 years. That'll give you some budget certainty, at least on a little portion, 20-25% of your annual electric spend at your district. So that gives you a little bit of comfort there. So you've got that, you've got the doing the right thing with renewable energy, the good, stewards of the environment, being really thought leaders potentially in your community and the state. And at the end of the day, we will probably see a little bit of savings too. So, it kind of meets all three components, all three legs of our stool, so to speak: cost competitiveness, renewable energy, clean, stewards of the environment. And then last, which was kind of a lost point in one of the first slides, is the STEM and vocational education component that CMS North Star is bringing to the table. They're super excited. They're super excited about being able to introduce that into the K-12 community because they have a vested interest in having engineers, linemen, solar technicians, solar energy technicians available for the future for training.
Thank you, Jeff. A couple of points to hit on there. Yes, vested self-interest there. There's a massive shortage of engineers and folks moving into this type of technology, even from the standpoint of construction, very constrained there. But I want to go back to a point that was made earlier regarding the subscription. We're hoping that not only that the Genesee, the MISEC solar array is subscribed, but oversubscribed, because we do have plans for a second solar array that would come in on the west side of the state to meet any oversubscriptions that we may have from here. So subscribing beyond 20% is not a problem for us. Matter of fact, we'd love to see it happen that way. We'll open it up for